This is Charlie. Half of his breakfast always ends up on the floor. And he leaves fur everywhere. That's why I grabbed the Bissell Power Clean Fur Finder. It's cordless, powerful, and actually finds fur you don't even see. Learn more at Bissell.com.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. So Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, streaming live. At 1 p.m. Eastern, it's Cowboys, Commanders. Then at 4:30, you've got Lions, Vikings. Midwest football, playoff stakes, and probably some snow. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix this Christmas Day.
Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas and welcome to Mental Health 101. Mental Health 101 is created to empower our mental health awareness. And today I have my special guest. She is a best-selling author and a reality personality who lives with the multiple rare and chronic diseases. None other than Miss Barby Ingle.
Yay! Hi, Daniel. So glad to be back. So glad to be talking about mental health. It's such an important topic. And I have a degree in psychology. And this is something that is a passion of mine. So I'm glad to be here to share some tips.
Yes. Thank you for being part on Mental Health, Miss Barbie. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, I'm a best-selling author, and in my books, I talk about health, and that's physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional health, and how you can live your best life through the tips and tricks that I share, and figuring out what works best for you. And I look forward to sharing with you today.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you. So today let's talk about mental health awareness. Beyond the clinical definition, how would you describe the journey of someone actively tending to their mental health? What does the process feel like to do day to day?
Day to day, looking at your mental health, and we're talking about mental health, not mental illness. Mental illness is something that's chronic and long term that you have to typically take a medication for, go through counseling. Mental health, you sometimes need medication to get through a situational experience that you're going through, but it isn't something that you have to focus on long term, like schizophrenia or post-traumatic stress disorder or bipolar disorder. Mental health is something that we need to look at each and every day and make sure that we're doing the right things in our life so that we're not getting overstressed, that we're moving our bodies, that we are connecting with other people. Human connection is so important. So many people miss out on that. Those are the types of things you need to do each day. And there's some other things too that we'll discuss. But I think day to day, it's paying attention to how you're feeling and how you're interpreting the world around you. Is everything always feeling negative? Maybe look at your mental health, your stress levels that are going on, and how you can better that situation so that you have really strong mental health and you can get through the challenges easier.
Miss Barbie, the word stigma is used a lot, but what does it actually feel like in a real life? Can you describe a subtle, everyday example of
Yes.
stigma that people might even recognize they are perpetuating?
It's mental health can be going bad if you're constantly feeling depressed or pessimistic. The things that a month ago got you really excited and you wanted to do, like go shopping or get a new dress or get your hair cut, those types of things you just don't even have interest in doing. And it maybe kind of feels like a cloud is over you and you are having trouble moving to and through the regular life living. It could be because of the stress in your life. It could be because you're not taking care of your mental health. It could be that you need to be taking breaks. You need to be meditating, deep breathing. And it also can mean that you don't find purpose in what you're doing. And finding purpose can improve your mental health.
Miss Barbie, what was the turning point for you personally or professionally when you realized that mental health awareness was not just a niche issue, but a fundamental human one?
So I have a rare disease called reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And living with this disease, especially the first 7 years, was the hardest. And it was something that I had to look at, pay attention to, and realize I was going into doctors, and I talked about this on past episodes with you. I was going into doctors and struggling to advocate for myself, but a lot of it was I was depressed and I was not living to my fullest because I had lost so many things in my life that I lost who I was, or my I ams, as I put it. And I started going to counseling, and I had a counselor say, I want you to go home and write down your I ams. And I ams are anything in your life that are positive, motivating. It's not what you do. So it's not your job. It's who you are. So I am bubbly. I am Christian. I am or spiritual, which was the first thing I wrote down. But it took me a few days, and I said, my psychiatrist called and said, how's your list coming? I said, I really haven't written one thing down. I suck at everything, and everything I can think of is negative. And I need to get past this. And he said, well, let me help you. And he said, you're a Christian. He said, you could start with I am spiritual. And that's the first thing I put on my list. And since then, I've added over 150 different things that I am, that when I'm having a bad day, I go back to my list. I keep it in my office, and I go back to my list and look at all the things that I am that aren't what I do, but they are the things that make me me. They make me human and experiencing life. And that kind of was my turning point, where the psychiatrist said, hey, let's see these I ams. Give yourself this list, and you can use it to pump yourself up. And that was back in 2003. And I still use that list today. So I've been using it for over 20 years. And that was my turning point to say, no matter what I'm facing, I am special. I am good. I am doing the things that I can do each day, each moment. And the second thing I did was I went from living a 24-hour day to moment by moment by moment, and looking to make each moment, whether it was a hard moment or easy moment, the best moment it can be.
The best moment indeed. Many people struggle with language of mental health. What is the compassionate way to respond when someone uses outdated or stigmatizing language out of ignorance, not malice?
I would say if it's just out of ignorance, try to communicate with them. I think one of the things that breaks down first is communication. And if we can communicate and say, hey, that's a really hurtful way to say that. People will say like, oh, but you look great. Oh, but you don't look that old. You don't look like you're depressed. Well, how are you able to smile even though you're saying you're sad? How do you smile at the same time? Some people are able to smile through the challenging, hard times, but that doesn't mean that they're not depressed, or they're not anxious, or they're not stressed. They're not going through something. So really have that conversation and say, because I look like this on the outside doesn't mean it's how I'm feeling on the inside. And there's actually, for chronic pain, there's a scale of 1 to 10, and we use numbers. For mental health, you think of the same thing, except for it's think of a facial gesture. So if you're really sad, your mouth will go down. If you're neutral, it'll be more neutral. If you're smiling and you're happy and yay, everything will be smiling and happy. But what is on our face doesn't always match how we feel inside. So try to use that 1 to 10 scale hey, today is a really bad depression day or a really bad anxiety day. My anxiety is really high. It's an 8 today. When you can use that scale instead of judging the person based on how they look, it can help you understand what they're going through a little bit better. But it takes the person that's going through the sadness or anxiety, depression, stress to communicate and let the person know, hey, when you say that, it makes me feel even worse. Can you try saying it in a different way, and give them a suggestion of ways that they can say it in a more appropriate way that matches how we're living in society nowadays.
Miss Barbie, if someone wants to check in on a friendly they worried about, what's the better question than we well-intentioned but often overwhelming? How are you?
Right? And most people will say, if they're depressed or really sad, most of them will say, I'm fine. And fine doesn't necessarily mean good. Fine
Yes.
means I don't want to talk about it, or I'm dealing with it. It's oh, I'm having a great day. Well, then the person's probably actually having a great day. When they say I'm fine or I'm having a horrible day, stop and pay attention and say, oh, well, what can make your day better? Or is there anything I can do for you? One of the things that I catch myself saying a lot that I want to work on and change is I say, oh, I'm just calling in to check on you. And that sounds like invasive. And you can just say, I was calling to get an update on how you're doing, instead of checking in like you're their police, the emotional police or something. So, really thinking about how you're approaching it and saying it, but be the person to call in and check in and say, I was thinking about you today and I was wondering how you're doing. And then if they say, I'm fine, say, okay, well, what can make it better? Or is there anything I can do for you? Or if they ask you to do something that you're not able to do, say, I would love to help you with that, but I don't know how, but I could look up a couple of resources for you. If you want to text the word home to 741-741, that is a crisis hotline for mental health. And it's 24/7. Why don't you reach out to that? It's free, it's confidential, so that you give them a resource if you're not able to help them in the way that they're needing help, and offer them that next step, that additional person to talk to and communicate with, so that they are able to take that forward and move through the mental health situation that they're in, so that they can better deal with it and have the appropriate supports around them.
Interesting, Miss Barbie, and truly empowering answer.
Thank you.
We often hear it's okay not to be okay. But what does it practically look like to create a space at work or at home where people genuinely feel safe being not okay?
Well, when you have something physically wrong, I would say create an oasis around you and have the tools around you that you need. When you're mentally having a tough time with depression, anxiety, stress, one of the things I would say is go into deep breathing, meditation, read the Bible, something that's relaxing, that takes you out of that situation. Even if it's for 5 minutes or 7 minutes, do some deep breathing, like 4 seconds breathe in, 7 seconds hold it, and then 8 seconds let it all out, and do that 5 or 6 times. And then if you have the ability to meditate or go into a quiet, dark space, take that time, go in and give yourself that oasis of quiet stillness, and let yourself not have to be thinking and stressing and worrying and pushing yourself. And then give yourself grace. You can say, look, and one of the things that I like to do is, if I'm feeling a lot of pressure on a project or something for work or something in my community when I'm helping people with chronic illness, I intentionally take my hand and I take that pressure off my chest. I'll grab my chest and I'll take that hand away from me and I will drop it out away from me. And I will say, I'm not going to accept this. I'm going to remove this. I am okay. I will be better. This is a moment and I will get through it. And I just take that and get it away from me. And that also helps me mentally to get through those toughest situations.
Miss Barbie, what are the unhelpful yet common silver lining statements like just think positive that we should avoid? Or what can we say instead that actually helps?
It's okay to have a bad moment. It's okay to take the time that you need, whether you just lost somebody that you love, or you have stress at work, or you're just having a down day. You just woke up in a bad mood. Stop and recognize it and let people know, hey, I'm having a bad day. So if I get snappy, it's not because I'm mad at you. And if somebody's being snappy, don't assume that it's you that did something wrong. Assume nothing. Ask, communicate, and say, hey, you got a little snappy with me. What's going on? Is there something that we need to work on? Is there something I can do for you? Do you need me to do something different? And work through that challenge. It should be positive communication meant in productive ways. They say constructive criticism is good, but criticism by itself is bad. So really think about what you're saying and don't just automatically respond. If somebody's negative, don't automatically respond with negative, even if you're the one having a bad day. For instance, I was at an event and I was cheering for all the people up on stage and yay, good job, Christy. Good job, Dana. And the ladies next to me were like, whoa, you're really loud. And they did not mean it in a happy, positive way, but I was trying to uplift somebody. And I said, oh, thank you so much. I have been a cheerleader my whole life and I practiced being loud and I've practiced cheering people on and to and through whatever they're facing. And so I really appreciate that you just told me that I'm loud. They didn't mean it in a good way, but I turned it into a good way. And yeah, I am loud and I am going to cheer people on. And the people up on stage needed that cheer at the moment. And maybe the ladies next to me were having a bad day. Maybe they were sad that they weren't the ones up on stage. I don't know. But I didn't take it as an offensive, even though they meant it as offensive. I turned it around and said, oh yeah, I've practiced cheering people on. I've practiced doing this. So thank you so much for recognizing it. And, ever since then, they just see me as the positive person. But I also know when it's a negative situation or the other person is having a bad time, to give them that time and space as well. I'm not going to be cheering them through that negativity. I'm going to be as positive as I can without trying to give them direction, because they need to get through whatever challenge that they're going through. And they hopefully will have some tools and techniques and things that work for them to get through that negative time and not take it out on me. And so recognizing that and seeing that in different situations, and it does take practice to do this. It's not something that just comes natural to humans. It takes practice to recognize that and to turn that negative into something that is helpful for you instead of just criticism.
Interesting, Miss Barbie. So for someone in the midst of a difficult period, what is one small, manageable first step towards seeking support that does not feel overwhelming?
I would say, again, create your oasis. Make sure that you're getting proper sleep. Make sure that you're eating healthy things, good protein every day. You should be having protein, veggies, typically water. Most people do not drink enough water. And if you increased your water, you would probably feel a little bit better, both physically and mentally. And then meditation is very good. Getting into the habit, setting some goals and getting into the habit of following through to even take a micro step forward towards accomplishing your goals can be very beneficial, increase your endorphins and your good positive chemicals in your body, and help you through the challenging times when they arise a little bit easier.
Indeed. And Miss Barbie, how can we shift the conversation from just a mental health awareness to tangible mental health action, particularly in institutions like schools and workplaces?
Yeah, I think that again, starting the conversation, whether it's in a school, in a workplace, in a community group, really realizing that mental health is health. It's part of our whole well being. We have to pay attention to it. And you can't lead if you're always running on empty. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You're putting on your oxygen. You're making sure that your mental health is good before you try to help other people. Same thing when you're living with a chronic physical illness. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Then you can use your extra energy to help other people. And don't deplete yourself. Keep your energy up as best you can, but also give yourself that grace in the hardest times so that you can take the time outs and you can step away. And at work, you could say, hey, I'm having a really hard day today. Could you help me out with these phone calls? Or could you help me get my calendar organized or my desk organized or whatever it is so that you can keep moving forward and have that support around you when you need it.
Miss Barbie, what is the most hopeful shift you have seen in the mental health landscape over the last 5 years?
I have seen NAMI, NAMI, the NAMI organization, get some legislation passed to bring mental health to the forefront, to really pay attention to it. Mental health awareness is really important, and it's something that we do talk about during the month of November every year. And we kind of talk about it all year round, but we put a lot more emphasis on it during this month. So it's a great time to be talking and sharing and learning and educating ourselves and others about mental health and the importance of using all the tools to make sure that we are as strong as we can be mentally and physically. And that is something that over the last 10 years or so, people are starting to have the conversations, but we need to get out of our silos and talk about it. If you're at the hairdresser or you're in line at the grocery store, like, oh, I'm having a hard day. And get that support from the people in the community around you and let them know that it's okay to say, I'm having a hard day. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard moment. And lift each other up to help each other rise and do the best that we can do as a society. And I'm seeing that happen. And I'm seeing more emphasis put on society when it comes to mental health. But then COVID, I saw a really good growth, and then COVID hit, and we went backwards a lot in schools, in our community, and we're still not even fully out of the COVID mindset yet and getting back to life as it was. And that takes a mental health toll on us. So at recognizing that and realizing it and keeping that emphasis on it so that people know, hey, a lot of us had a lot of mental health struggles during COVID, especially, and we're still getting those tools back. We're still developing them or redeveloping them. Or if you were in school and you had to do homeschool, a lot of the social skills, which mental health falls under, were not taught. So it's catching people back up to the speed of the world around us and keeping that in mind. So let's keep that in mind and keep moving forward.
Miss Barbie, if you could have a magic wand and make a general public understanding one single truth about mental health, what would it be?
It would be that hope is true. And there's great reason for hope because there is help. All you have to do is reach out and seek it. And whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional health, there is tools, resources, and people out there that can help you reach out and seek the help if you need it.
Indeed. So, what does the recovery or managing mental health look like? Is it the absence of symptoms, or it's something more like building a toolbox and resilience?
Yeah, we would like it to be a straight line, but it's more like a really squiggly line, and it goes up and down. And if you're not paying attention to it, it runs over itself and goes all kinds of directions. So the best thing to do is pay attention to it so you get your line as straight as you can. And when you hit a speed bump in the road, you're better able to handle it because of the preparation and the time you put into your mental health leading up to that bad moment. If you're strong leading up to that moment, you will be able to recover faster, and preventative will go a long way. And so it doesn't mean you're going to have all good days. You're going to have some bad days still, and you're going to have some challenging moments, but taking those as speed bumps versus squiggly lines that are going all over each other and you can't focus and you can't get things done, it will be a lot easier to get back to focused, smooth, and keep running down the road of life.
Ms. Barbie, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My
Yes.
other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 in its fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health, and Bible Verses 101, and Science 101, and Sex 101 in second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Ms. Barbie, for someone listening who feels alone in their struggle right now, what is one message you most want them to hear?
Say no to getting overloaded. It's really easy to do, but you can say no. No is a powerful word, and that can help you with your mental health. And again, if you are struggling, please reach out 741-741, and you text home to 741-741, and that is the 24-hour crisis line, and they will be able to help you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you, Miss Barbie, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your projects, or your books itself?
Oh, thank you so much. You can go to barbyingle.com or internationalping.org to check me out, check out the resources that we have for anybody that is needing help with mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, or chronic and rare diseases. Thank you so much, Daniel. You're a pleasure. And 5 stars for you. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, likewise, Miss Barbie, for sharing your expertise to the world. Yes, let's support Miss Barbie Ingle, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy, more empowering books to come. So, Miss Barbie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Take care.
More to come, people. See you soon.